What's up, Inkie peeps? It's Adele from Inkie Quill, and today we've got one of my favourite videos to make. We're making some DIY embellishments and some DIY journaling cards, but there's a catch. So I thought today, it's the 30th of October, I thought it was appropriate to chuck in a bit of a Halloween-y spin on today's video. I haven't really done any other Halloween-y things on YouTube or anywhere, but I thought today that we would have a go at making some Halloween themed embellishments. However, I have absolutely no Halloween supplies. I have no stickers, no stamps that are of the spooky kind of genre. And so today we're making DIY embellishments for a theme using absolutely no themed products. So I thought this would be really fun to do, and I think I might also do one maybe for Christmas. Let me know if you would like that video in December, because sometimes it's difficult to have themed things for a theme that only goes for one day. I think that I feel more comfortable in buying lots of birthday themed stickers and stamps and things, because you celebrate birthdays multiple times during the year. Not your own birthday, but other people's birthdays across the whole year. You know what I mean. Whereas things like Halloween, it's one day. And so I feel like with Christmas, I do have a few Christmassy things, but our Christmases usually last for multiple days to see different sides of the family. But let me know in the comments your thoughts on themed products for things that are like special days, I guess you could say. So today I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks as to how I created these. My number one tip is mixed media. Now, if you don't do mixed media, it's very, very basic mixed media. It's not tricky. I'm literally just brushing on some orange paint onto this tag. And the reason why mixed media is so handy for something like this is because it can completely customize and transform the color or the color combination of something. With a lot of these embellishments, I started with quite a neutral base. So here I started with several white tags. The one on the far right is an older Studio Calico one. The middle one is a miscellaneous text that I somehow had. I don't know where I got those from, sorry. And then this one on the left is actually some basil marshmallow cardstock that I had cut into a tag. So by the power of a little bit of paint, you can completely transform what your base looks like. And I think that's a huge help when it comes to these themes that have such a dominant color scheme. I know that with Halloween you can wear any color and you can, be any color, but when I think of Halloween, I think of black, orange and purple. They're straight away the three colors that pop into my head, and kind of like a navy, spooky navy, I guess. I don't know what makes navy spooky, but it reminds me of like dark night skies, and that's when you go trick-or-treating and all of the witches and goblins come out. So navy is also a color that reminds me of Halloween when paired with these other ones. And so I wanted to start off by just creating a couple of mixed media backgrounds. I don't know if I can call them mixed media when it's only one thing. So this is just a watercolor background. It's not really mixed media background. And the colours I'm using are just the Jane Davenport watercolours because they were on my desk, and I knew they had a really nice vibrant purple in them, which was perfect because I don't usually reach for purple paint. I don't think I have a purple in the Dilutions or in my Dina Wakley paints, so that was the only way I was going to get purple. I also had a couple of punched circles that I did off camera because, let's be real, I punch too many shapes, and I do this every single time I make embellishments. I was talking to some of my beautiful Aussie chatterbox ladies the other night, and I was talking about punching too many shapes for DIY embellishments, and I do it every time. I've made so many DIY embellishments, you'd think I would learn, but yet the punching of shapes is just too much fun and I just can't stop. So that's a tip if you are doing this for the first time or even the 10th time, like me. Just slow down on how many shapes you pre-punch, because I always end up with way too many and you can always punch out more. So then I decided to add some stenciling. So stenciling is another way that you can add a little bit more of a themey feel to your embellishments. Even though I don't have anything like cobwebs or spiders in my stencil collection, or ghosts or pumpkins, but stars are something that I do relate with Halloween. I just like stars all the time, really, but they are something that has a bit of a Halloween-y connotation if you think about it. Perhaps might be pushing it, but they made me think of it, so that's why I decided to use them. I'm using this gold texture paste. I think it's called Cadence, Cadence. It's in my Brisbane haul, I know that for sure, and I got it from Catchy Crafts, I think that's where it was, and it's just a really nice gold kind of color. And this stencil, I'm pretty sure I got it off eBay a long time ago. So I'm just going through and I'm adding some little bits and pieces here. I'm trying to not cover up the whole piece, but just some of it. Here I'm adding a chipboard piece from the new Cocoa Vanilla Midnight collection, which, even though Midnight sounds spooky, it's very not spooky. It's beautiful. There's florals. It's very, I think it's a bit of a girly collection, and it's not Halloweeny. But for some reason, the colors of this piece, it was navy and kind of like a peach tone, and I just felt like it looked, I don't know, the branches kind of made me feel a little branchy, maybe feel a little spooky, and so I thought I would use it and kind of cover up some of those lovey hearts and little flowers and make it a little bit not as pretty and girly. So I'm just covering up here. I do use a lot of gold stars in these embellishments. I think they were definitely my go-to small embellishment to add to the pieces. And the great thing about gold is that it's kind of a neutral. It's a neutral in my books, and so that it went with all of the, it didn't matter what color the background was, I could make it work. So you can just see I layered the star and the circle. I think when punching the shapes for this project, it's handy to have shapes of a couple of different sizes, so but not too many, not too many. I do like to have some of these 1-inch circles, because you can make them embellishments by themselves and actually have some small embellishments to use in your projects, but you can also layer them as well, which is handy. I had my alphas left on my desk because there is a video coming up, I think it's actually this coming weekend possibly, over on YouTube, where I did a few Insta stories on Instagram and asked people to vote for some Grab 5 items, and one of them was alpha stamps, and I was slightly shocked and a little, not disappointed in myself, but a bit just very shocked at the amount of alpha stamps that I have that I do not use. I think I had about 12 or 13 different sets of alpha stamps. Name more than 2 projects that you've ever seen me use them in. I can't. And so I had them on my desk from making that layout, and I really wanted to use them for this. And that's another way that you can bring in a theme to themey embellishments without actually having themed products, is that you can use alphabet stamps or alphabet stickers to spell out some words or phrases that are that relate to that. So here I just did the very stereotypical boo, because it's nice and short, and I knew it would fit in, and I just thought it was a cute little phrase to use because it kind of looks like it's peeking out from behind the orange paint. So tip number, up to 3. Number 1 is to use some paint or mixed media to add specific colours to match your theme. My tip number 2 is to try and use some stencils that relate to it. Tip number 3 is to use alphabet stamps or stickers to spell out some phrases that relate to it. For this one, I just left it nice and simple, and I just wrote Happy Halloween with my white Uniball Signo Broad pen, and that card was done. I imagine kind of maybe layering a small photo on there or just using it as a filler card. Next up, I'm in the middle of a big project, peeps, and I don't know if I should have taken it on right now. We rent our house, and we have a house inspection in 2 weeks, and I have decided to completely rearrange several of the rooms of our house, and one of them being my craft room. So you'll see in an upcoming video, I never did do a craft room tour of where I was in the lounge room, but I am now in a different room, not the original craft room that I showed you over here. I'm in the spare room, which is another extra bedroom we have, and my craft stuff is everywhere. It's just all over the house. It looks like, is it the Tasmanian Devil or Looney Tunes? It looks like Tassie Devil has come in and just created a whirlwind, or is it the Roadrunner that leaves all the destruction in their path? Maybe it's the Roadrunner I'm thinking of, but I have things everywhere. And so the other night I decided to rearrange my 3 Rascog carts because I'm not using them to the best of their ability. The bottom shelves for sure on all 3 of them are just shove spots where they're like the junk drawer equivalent of the craft space. And I found my Jane Davenport beautiful paint swatch rub-ons. So I decided that's where that story was going. That was a very long-winded story just to get to that point that I found something that I had lost. But I decided when I was going through them, there was a little strip that had kind of orangey brown colours. And you guys know that's not my go-to colour scheme. And so I thought if I have an opportunity to actually use browny orange colours for a reason, like gives me some motivation to actually use them, I better use them. So that's why they're on there. This tag ended up being my favourite out of the whole thing, and I'm very excited to use this. And the good thing about this one is Aaron and I won't be celebrating Halloween this year. Usually every second year we have a Halloween party with our group of friends, but Aaron is actually turning 30 in November, so we're having a 30th instead, and we'll do a Halloween party next year. So we won't actually have any. I do have a little t-shirt for Archie that says boo on it with a little ghost, so I might be able to have one photo, but I knew that I wasn't going to get to do too much Halloween scrapping. So a lot of these embellishments you could use for Halloween things, but you could also use just on any layout that you like, and this is one of them. So here I did a little bit of ruffling with my tissue paper. I love this technique, and I really should do it more often on some tags and pre-make them so that they're ready to go for my scrapbook layouts, because I really love the way that it looks. I then decided to kind of emphasize the magic there, and then put a little bit of twine in the top of this tag. But I really love the way that this one turned out. I don't know if it's the color combinations, like the navy with the black and the gold, or if it's the watercolory in the background just worked out with a bit of white space. I don't know what it is about that one, but I really enjoyed it. Next up, I was going through my sticker books. Now this is a One Canoe 2 sticker book, and most of the theme of it is, I would say, outdoors, like camping and being outdoors, which is, if you watch our vlogs, is very not me. I'm an indoorsy person, and I was flicking through just to see if there was anything that I could kind of manipulate to be Halloweeny, and I found these spooky looking trees, and so I just stuck them on with a little bit of a phrase around the outside. If you're not comfortable with handwriting phrases that match your theme, you could also use tiny alphabet stickers. That could also work, or if you have a typewriter, you could type them out, or even on your computer, if you wanted to go through and type up a heap of phrases, you could pick the font and then cut them up and use them like tiny word strips, like tiny word stickers. So this next one, I had another lot of spooky looking trees that I thought were appropriate, and I was just going through trying to find the right phrase. I could have spent hours looking through my tiny word stickers for the right phrases, but I decided to stick to these Tim Holtz ones. They're the small talk ones, and I know that there's quite a few of them that mention magic in there. And this one, I put trust your crazy ideas, and my idea for this one was an embellishment that you might put next to maybe a cringy photo of a Halloween costume that you may have chosen as a child. That's when I made this embellishment, what I was thinking of. This next one, I actually had previously done that black paint on that tag, and when way back at the start of this year, I did a 12 by 12 wedding. Was it a wedding layout? I think so, 12 by 12 wedding layout over on YouTube, and I wanted to test the embossing before I actually did it on the page, so I did it on a tag. And that's another tip: if you're ever testing out a new technique or a bit of stamping or some paint, chuck it onto a tag and then put the tag in your stash, and you have the base for a DIY embellishment for later on. This next one was pretty simple. I just wrote Happy Halloween on this orange watercolory cardstock, and I drew a little bat. So if you don't have themed icon stickers, things like bats and spiders, you could choose something that's easy to draw, for example a spider web or a little ghost. You could even look online for clip art ideas and to give you a bit of an idea of what it looked like, and you can always just draw your little things onto your embellishments. If you keep them small, then if you don't like the way they turned out, you can always cover them up, or they're so small that you won't be able to see the finer details anyway. And if your ghost is a bit wonky, or if your spiders has accidentally got 9 legs, I'm sure no one will notice. It's my bat, I think, lost its body. It was just all wings. I didn't really draw its body properly, but we're just going to go with it. We're just rolling with it. So this one, I think my favorite, apart from that tag, I really liked the embellishments that I did that had the purple watercolor in them. I think that it looked really bright, and I don't know, I just really liked the look of it, the vibrancy of the purple. I think maybe also because it's not something that I usually do, whereas navy and black are things that I often do make in my regular pages. This one I put like wow, and see, that's a phrase that you could use for anything, but you could also specifically use it for a Halloween page talking about someone's costume ideas, or maybe some decorations that you've done on your house or on a neighbor's house. And I just tried to pick phrases that could work, that were also open to interpretation. This next one, I didn't realize that I still had the camera zoomed in, so I do cut this one short because I did the remainder of this card completely out of frame, but I wanted to keep this bit in because I did a little tissue paper ruffle. And to do that, if you've never had a go at that, I just put some tape straight down on my surface, and then I kind of do a concertina fold of my tissue paper. It is a little tricky to start off with. I would suggest just doing a small section like this rather than completely up the side of a 12 by 12 layout, but I think the effect is really cool. This next one I did stamp it off camera, and once again I just did boo because I didn't have any Halloween stickers that said boo, so I might as well just use my stamps to do it myself. And this tag is all done, so they don't have to be complex. They can really be very simple, and just with a couple of limited supplies. You can see here I'm basically, my main supplies that I'm using are that spotty tissue paper, a couple of tiny word sticker sheets, the gold stars, and a few little tiny stars and hearts. And then what else? Oh, and my alphabet stamps. They're kind of my main go-tos for this little project. Sticking that one up the side, and this one says trust your crazy ideas as well, and I just thought that might work for some costumes. Let me know in the comments if you do celebrate Halloween and what country you're from. Over here in Oz, we will get trick-or-treaters where we live. There's lots of families that live around our area, and our house is accessible. Previous houses that we've lived in have either had really steep high driveways, or they've kind of been hidden away or in streets that don't have a lot of families that live in them. But last year I think we might have only got 2 or 3 sets of trick-or-treaters, so I have only bought 1 bag. I'm hoping we don't get an influx, hoping we get about 5 people. But yeah, let me know, because I was watching, whose video was I watching? I don't know who it was, but it was a vlogger that I watch, and she used to be a young mum. I'm not sure. I think she's changed the name of her channel now. But she was saying that they get 150 to 180 trick-or-treaters, and I was gobsmacked. Is that the norm in the States? Is that common? Because buying that many lollies or candy, whatever your name is for sweetie things, that's a lot of things to have. So let me know if you celebrate Halloween, and if you also get Halloweeners come to your house. Are you the type of person that closes the blinds and hides? Because I will admit, we did do that one year, but that's only because we came home late, and the people that were trick-or-treating didn't look that kind, so we did hide from them. They were in their very late teens, and I think they were more up to the tricking than the treating. Back on track, this little one was another cute one. And then here I really enjoyed, off camera I did do a couple of paint swatches across some of the circle pieces of scrapbook paper that I cut out, and you do have to be a little bit careful with normal scrapbook paper and watercolor. That's the reason why I like to use it on the basil marshmallow cardstock, like that tag that we made. With normal scrapbook paper, it does soak in very quickly, so I would recommend only, I fight with my stapler here. What's new? It always breaks when I'm filming something. But if you are using normal scrapbook paper and watercolor, I would suggest just doing a really light little swish whack of the paintbrush. So don't work it too much, just a nice little swish, and your paint stroke will be on there and it won't soak through too much. So once again, adding all the gold stars, and another little one up here. And I had lots of fun making this. I will admit, I accidentally scheduled 2 DIY embellishments in a row over here on Patreon, so I am going to change. I was going to have another one go up in 2 days' time, but I am going to change it and put a couple of videos in between so that you're not DIY'd embellished out. But I have had fun kind of making up some new ones, and I'm going to send some of these Halloweeny embellishments to a couple of my American pals to see if they might be able to use them in their pages, only because this month we won't really be having many photos. I'll keep a couple of them, but I'm going to rehome the others to someone who hopefully will be able to use them. So here they all are. I do a bit of a zoom up of all of them so you can see them a little bit closer. Let me know if you enjoyed this making embellishments and cards not using a theme for a theme. That's a very clunky title, but let me know if you did enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!